Hmm.
Going live, Rebecca?
I don't see it yet. It says we're being live streamed, but I don't see it yet. Let me just double check.
Yep.
Should be there now.
Yeah, let me just double check our YouTube on the computer. I see I'm host now. That's good. Yep, we're live now.
All set?
All set. Yep.
Hey, welcome everyone on this wonderful August evening. It's kind of been a lot happening, not only around our community, but in the river and as well. But I welcome everybody to our Hudson 7 Drinking Water Council monthly meeting. Today is August 12th. My name is Gary Bassett. I'm the chair for the Hudson 7, also mayor of the village of Rhinebeck. Just like to remind everybody that our Hudson 7 meetings are streamed live, which we just did on our YouTube channel, and the public is advised to visit this channel. We meet in person here at the wonderful Poughkeepsie Water Treatment Plant. Thank you, Dottie. Which is located at 70 Waterworks Road, Poughkeepsie, New York. We do allow public comment both in person and remotely. And if you need to learn more, please visit our website, www.hudson7.org. We have a quorum tonight, but I'd like to go around the table and on the screen and introduce everybody. I'm going to start with you, sir.
Dan Shapley with Riverkeeper, an advisor to the Hudson 7.
Devin Rigolino, Vice Chair of the Hudson 7 and representative for Dutchess County.
Shannon Roback, Riverkeeper, Technical Advisor to the Hudson 7.
Hello, Nick Butler, Town of Sopas Water Superintendent.
Richard Distel, City of Poughkeepsie.
Anna Boutsikaris, Source Watershed Specialist for the Hudson River Estuary Program, DEC.
Hi, Daniela Ortiz. I'm a technician for the Estuary Program, DEC.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Donnie Ginobili, Water Plant Administrator and Technical Advisor.
And I'm going to start at the top left, Rebecca.
Rebecca Martin, Source Water Protection Coordinator for the Hudson 7.
Ann.
Hi, Ann Shershin, Town of Poughkeepsie, 6th Ward Council person. Also, greetings from Seattle, where we're waiting on my daughter to have her third baby. And so far, the baby's only 3 days late. So we're still hanging in there.
I hope it all goes well.
Thank you.
John.
John Lipscomb, advisor for Hudson 7.
Eric.
Eric Weinstock, technical advisor from Hyde Park.
Ella, how are you?
Hi, everyone. Ella Catabiani, Watersheds Coordinator at the Ulster County Department of the Environment. I'm just sitting in to report back to Andy.
Oh, very good. Give Andy our best, please.
Yeah. You bet.
Ryan.
Good afternoon, everyone. Ryan Sharp, Town Board, Ward 5, Town of Poughkeepsie.
Oscar.
Roscoe Pecor, Town of Sopas.
Welcome. Okay, let's jump right into this. We have a quorum. Officially called the meeting to order. I was absent, so I will not make the motion to approve. I'm going to refer to Devin to motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Motion to approve the minutes. Does anyone have any changes or anything? Do I have a second?
I'll second it. Yeah. Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Abstain.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Treasury report. It seems our treasury report are sometimes getting the day before a meeting, and sometimes they're going to come the day after a meeting. This appears to be one of the times, and they're going to be the day after a meeting, so our treasury report will be delayed until next month. Rebecca. Rebecca, you're silent.
Right. So I've submitted my report for July of 2026. It comes with a one sheet and then a more granular look at the tasks that relate to our goals. Are there any questions about last month's work? All of which is made public on our meeting page for everyone to see.
Thank you. Can you go right into communications?
Yes. So I just want to say there's a Paula's iPhone that entered the waiting room. I don't know who that is.
That's
so
probably our intern.
Oh, it's Paula the intern. Thank you, Dan. Okay, I'm letting Paula in. really quickly just before I get into communications. Hi, Paula, welcome. Okay, so Carey Institute webinar recording and materials are linked in the communications for harmful algal blooms, what you need to know in their recent presentation. Hudson 7 provided a letter of support to the town of Esopus this past month for their consolidated funding application. DC also presented a webinar on harmful algal bloom. The recording's available. It's called River Access Funding webinar. It's in your communications. We were outreached by Kelly Wardrick, who sent us the trailer for wastewater documentary, Unless Something Goes Terribly Wrong, with an event request. And so it's not specifically Hudson 7 drinking water related. We shared only as an FYI to municipalities in the case they were interested in doing a screening of this documentary. And then last month, we welcomed Mayor Gary Bassett welcomed the birth of his first grandson, Samson Thomas Oxidine, who arrived on July the 13th at 7:28 p.m., healthy and strong, weighing 7 pounds and measuring 19 inches long.
And
Congratulations.
he's already gained 1.5 pounds and growing like a weed. It's unbelievable.
Healthy baby. Good.
Yeah.
And mama.
And everybody's healthy and well. That's what counts. So thank
Yeah.
you.
We'll have another one of those, I think, next month with Anne.
I think so. Fingers
All right.
crossed.
Yeah.
Anne is in Seattle waiting for birth of her third grandchild.
So upcoming, I'm sorry.
Wanted me to talk about Walkinger Creek. Is that part of communications or is that later in the agenda?
No, I put it in new business, Dan. I decided just because who knows.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, not at all. You're intending to stay to the end, right, Dan? Yeah. All right. So upcoming meetings and events, Hudson PCBs, the Community Advisory Group, the CAG, is scheduled to meet tomorrow, August 13th from 1 to 4 p.m. It's a public meeting, so not only CAG members are invited to attend, but the public at large. There's a link there for registration. And then New York River Watch is hosting a series of webinars tomorrow on the leachate loophole in New York State report. 2 webinars at noon and 6 p.m. And Mayor Gary Bassett is joining the evening webinar. And so we invite everybody to attend if they're interested in the report and have questions for the team and the environmental justice groups that'll be available on the call. And that's it for upcoming meetings and events.
Thank you. Public comment.
So there were two and a half. I've tried to keep up with it, but I'm just going to give an overview from Diane Dintroff. Diane's first update was on the status of IBM's Quantum Data Center. And she writes, as a retired IBM human factors engineer and environmentalist, I've been following the IBM Poughkeepsie's Quantum Data Center's development and experimenting with AI. I thought the summary regarding IBM's Quantum Data Center might be a timely information given the June 2026 passage of the Responsible Data Center Development Act. And there's a link here for the council to review more that Diane provided. And yesterday we got a new public comment from Diane. And I'm just summarizing that the Hudson River Integrated Water Intelligence Network, the acronym is HRI-WIN, W-I-N, explores whether AI can help bring together the fragmented information we already have about the Hudson River and drinking water, allowing us to better understand and manage the river as an interconnected system. The idea grows out of my longstanding concern about climate change and water, as well as my background in human factors, engineering, and technology. HRI-WIN is also an experiment in AI's potential and limitations grounded in a simple principle. AI can help us see connections, but people must remain responsible for the questions, the judgment, and the decisions. And this is new, so I'll circulate the full communication to the council tomorrow. And that's it for public comment for tonight.
Thank you. Any other public comment anybody's aware of? Okay. All right, we're gonna make a little bit of a shift in the agenda tonight because we all saw Eric, who is sitting not on the Hudson, but at the ocean. So Eric, we're gonna move you up to the front to give us an update on the Dutchess County Fire Training Center remediation.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. The DEC issued a fact sheet that we were waiting for, so we have everything we need to move ahead. There is no formal comment period with a close date, but I spoke with Ed from the DEC, the case manager, and he said that we can certainly send in our comments. The fact sheet, it basically mimics what we have in our letter here. It explains the findings. And then the comments that we have, the main one is there's no discussion of the fall kill, which does have documented PFAS releases in it, that the fall kill discharges to the Hudson River, and that the Hudson River is a drinking water source. So I think that should definitely be a comment from the Hudson 7. The other issue, which may or may not want to include at the Hudson 7, is that the reservoir right next to the fire training center is used for fishing, and the dam just downstream of the fire training center is a popular fishing spot. That there's no signs there that say not to eat the fish. The DEC's DEC or DOH, I'm not sure, one of the other. The website with fish warnings, it says do not eat for this area of the fall kill, and we think that there should be signs posted to that effect.
So, Eric, that Google Doc that I just shared is the draft letter that you've created, and it has been sent around to the members of the council who agreed to look and to add to it. And we did circulate the FAQ that you received. So I'm going to rely on you to help me to get what you need done, in a timely way that you deem appropriate, so that we can get the letter written, approved, and submitted.
Okay, I assume it'll go on Hudson 7 letterhead.
Yes.
And the only questions I have, other than addressing any comments that the group has, is who would be signing the letter and who we would CC on the letter. I mean, I'm happy to sign it if you want me to.
Why don't you discuss that with the group? Whatever you think is best, probably.
Okay, I had a list of CCs on the draft.
Okay.
But so aside from that, does everyone feel that this letter is ready to go out to the DEC and the DOH?
I read it and I was comfortable with it, Eric. Any others? I think it's good to go, Eric.
Okay, Rebecca, I'll follow up with you on this next week.
Great. We'll get it out. Thanks, Eric.
Yes, thank you.
All right, and Dan, I know you mentioned before about the new business item for the Wappingers.
Yeah.
I took a look at what you sent me, and I'm glad to help you out with that. It looks like CDM did a pretty extensive study there, but I'm definitely on board if you need any help responding to that.
Great.
Do you want to speak to the Wappinger Creek Superfund website while Eric is here, or is it something we can wait till later?
No, I'm okay.
Sure, I'm happy to jump in. So the lower portion, the tidal portion of the Wappinger Creek is 2 miles from the Natural Falls and the hydroelectric plant in Wappingers Falls to the mouth of the Hudson. significant wildlife habitat, among other things, heavy public use, a lot of fishing there, a lot of access. It's a Superfund site from 200 years of industry that had been active. The DEC's cleaned up the land side of that contamination. We finished that a few years ago, and then referred the creek itself to EPA for a federal cleanup because it's more complicated. So EPA has presented several alternatives and is proposing to take the most aggressive action Riverkeeper supports to do dredging of a portion of the creek at this stage. The $88 million project, which Devin and I talked briefly about, probably the biggest federal project ever in Dutchess County. So big on various scales. Riverkeeper will be commenting on it. We're going to be putting in our action alert to get people to support the cleanup because it's a good step. What I've read of the documents, and I can share more with Eric, it does say that the concern is sediments and then the fish getting contaminated from the sediments. It says specifically the studies have found limited impact on the water quality itself, above the sediments. So I think there's probably limited, very unlikely any kind of impact on the Hudson 7 water quality. But it is a Superfund site in a major tributary in the county. And so it is an aggressive cleanup. So it's something you might consider, supporting as a council, if it's an action you could consider. The comment period will end September 20th or 21st. I forget. It was going to be in just a few days, and they agreed to extend it by 30. So those are the basics.
Is it needed for us to comment? It sounds like it's moving forward.
No, it's moving. It would just be a matter of, expressing support for a good action would be the only reason to do it. There's no risk, I think. There's always a risk, I guess. You never know what happens. I think that's why Riverkeeper wants to get the voices. There were about 25 people that showed up to a meeting on it in the middle of summer with almost no notice. So the community there is interested in this. So we want to give them a tool to say, yes, we support this, so that EPA has on the record that there's community support.
Yeah, I agree with what Dan said. CDM did do an extensive study there. It seemed like the major contaminant was mercury, and they picked 4 alternatives, one being do nothing and 3 other alternatives. And they picked the alternative that was the most aggressive, complete removal. So I would support going ahead. I'd be in favor of supporting them.
If it would be good, there's no reason why we cannot give a letter of support.
Yeah, now just one other thing the cleanup would be in 2 phases. The second phase is who knows when. The first phase is now. The second phase is who knows when, because there is Hudson River PCB contamination that flows into the creek and is deposited in the sediments in the kind of portion of the creek closer to the mouth. So they're kind of, Riverkeeper will be pointing out, like, we don't want to let one contaminated site prevent the cleanup of another, but it is a conundrum about how to sort of handle a situation like that. So it does reinforce, I know the council's involved with the Hudson River cleanup site. And so there is a connection.
Well, would you like to draft a letter for us?
Be happy to.
Dan, is that the bleachery in the village?
Yeah, that was one of the main sources. There were others too.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, there was a bleachery. There was also a place that made hats. You remember that? And felt hat making was known to use mercury. So that's another source.
Down there.
Other contaminants too, they're targeting the mercury because that's the most widespread. So if they get all the mercury, they'll get the other stuff that's there too. So, but there's a mix of contaminants in the sediment.
They were all contained in that industrial complex down there, all the buildings. That's where they're all
that's
from?
where the source was.
I didn't realize it was a Superfund site.
I didn't either.
I lived right up the roof from there. When I grew up right up the roof.
Yeah, I grew up on all the people too. But
Is that why you had that twitch?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Did a lot of stripe protection there.
It's kind of wild that it has been kind of under the radar. I feel like there isn't great public awareness.
And who got the federal grant?
Well, it's just the EPA project, so,
EPA.
you know, Superfund works, if they can point to a company and say, you do this because you were responsible, then the company pays, but if not, then the government pays out of this pot of money that's generated by.
Right, they refer to it as a fund lead as opposed to a responsible party lead. It's paid for out of the Superfund.
The reason I ask is because we're gonna have a conversation about the Central Hudson MGP plan and why that can't move forward.
Right, so that's a state level similar, it's not a Superfund program, but it's a similar program where responsible parties still operating, still generating revenues and.
Right.
Yes, I should. Dan, what is the last question about it? So because I grew up right around there and I've spent a lot of my life fishing right around there, especially in Bleachery. There's never been a sign that I'm aware of. Like, who's responsible for signage?
Well, I noticed the same thing because after the public meeting, I went down there and walked around and there's tons of people fishing.
Yeah.
So I raised that with DOH and town supervisor. And I haven't gotten a response, honestly, but I think there needs to be some signs.
Yeah, I had no idea it was a Superfund site. I think mercury is the primary contaminant.
Yeah.
Wow.
What kind of industrialization was down there?
The bleachery, the hat making, there was a manufactured gas plant, a metal plating facility.
Oh,
Might have
a lot
been
of
another- It was, yeah, like 200-year history. There's a lot going back a long way. I'll show you a lot more notes if you want.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Thank you.
So I'd like to make a motion to suggest to have Dan draft a letter for Hudson Seven Song. I have a second.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Okay, Dan. Thank you. All right, I'm gonna continue to move on. The next thing on our agenda was, it's that time of year for all of our community municipalities to remind them that budget season is coming up.
I know.
And to remind them to make sure to think about the Hudson Seven when they're doing their budget and put the funding source into that, into their plans, right? We will be sending out a reminder letter just to remind everybody and thank you for your past support and your continued support going forward for that funding request. And any problem with that? No? All right. Shannon, let's talk about what's going on with the monitoring.
Yeah, so we are sampling tomorrow. Super exciting. So we're gonna be dropping off coolers to operators in the morning, asking them to sample around 3 o'clock, and then coming by to pick up all of the coolers at the end of the day. So this will be the first sample event, and this will be our kind of summer sample event. And we are measuring, we have 2 different commercial labs involved, 3 academic partners, and then our own lab and Dottie's lab, all measuring different things. So, you know, we're going to be measuring cyanotoxins, we're going to be measuring disinfection byproduct formation potential, we're going to do some EAMS characterization of natural organic matter, which is another sort of like way to understand DBP precursors. We are measuring wastewater surrogates. So I can't remember if we're doing sucralose or caffeine to get a sense for like the amount of wastewater input, metals, pharmaceuticals, like it's a huge suite. And then as a reminder, we will measure things like UV254 and TOC and these kind of like parameters that are measured more frequently and more easily so that we can see if there are correlations between any of these parameters that are regulated and, you know, ultimately try to have a sample plan where you're not spending $30,000 on sampling a year and sending everything out to a commercial lab. So I think we'll learn a lot. We probably will not have data for about a month. So mid-September. And then we'll aim to do a fall event in mid-October. So my hope is that we get the data back in about a month. We can figure out if, probably want to convene a separate meeting to like really go through it. I don't think there'll be enough time at one of these meetings. And we can make decisions if we want to like change the suite of contaminants in any way, or, if we want to, if we want to make changes to the next event. And then we'll sample twice more next year in summer and fall. And sort of at the end of that, we should have like a pretty good idea of, we won't have a perfect picture of seasonality, but we'll have some idea about how seasonality might be playing a role. And then we'll learn a lot about contaminants. And then one last thing I'll mention is that, so the operators will be collecting from the intakes, and then we also are sampling from 4 tributary mouths, and we have 1 upstream sample. And the goal there is to kind of understand if there are any tributaries in our kind of source water area that are disproportionately contributing any of these things. I don't think we're going to like have some kind of smoking gun where we're like, oh, this tributary is like, all the precursors are coming from this tributary, or all of these cyanobacteria. But it'll be also interesting to see how that changes across the 4 sample events. But our goal is to kind of like, understand how these different watersheds might be contributing.
Are you stacking tide schedules like for sample times, like between now and October, different tides?
Yeah, so we tried to do an ebb tide, so that's why everyone is doing 3 p.m.
That's slack?
Is
that what ebb means? Slack time?
We want the tributary water to be flowing out into the river, because the goal is to kind of characterize the tributary. So that 3 o'clock is sort of like it's low tide. I don't know. I can always forget what the ebb or what I'm used to, like low tide and high tide, but it's a low tide. So the tributary. John, someone want to weigh in on the maritime terms, but so 3 p.m. is time so that we can capture the tributary water at the mouth more than we're capturing the river water. And so that we will check the tides and do that for every sample event.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Because otherwise we're just measuring 5 more river samples.
Should I expect a call from Julian tomorrow morning?
Yes.
How he's gonna plan on coming by?
Yep. So probably before noon, so somewhere between 8 and noon, Rebecca shared contacts with us, like a point person and phone number. So someone will be stopping by with the cooler. There's instructions. It's really easy. It's just filling the bottles.
Yep.
Like no preservatives need to be added. But it's detailed instructions like for each bottle, how to fill them. And I don't think it's actually going to take that much time. There are a number of bottles, but like I can't imagine it taking the operators more than like half an hour to fill everything up, and then just leave it sitting there, and then we'll be swinging back by in the afternoon to pick everything up.
Any idea?
So probably between like 3:30 and 5.
Oh, okay.
Are you doing all the water plants?
Yeah.
Good.
So we should.
John had his hand raised too. I just want to make sure if you had questions about slack and ebb flows or tides.
Everyone, we would need to be done by 5. Do you have a question, John?
No, I just had a thought. It's a little late to weigh in, of course, but we noticed on the tribs is, of course, for 6 hours, the flow is mostly in from the Hudson. And so if the sample is meant to look at what's in the trib versus the Hudson mostly, then 2 things: going a little after high water would mean flow is out, but also not sampling right at the mouth of the trib, because that's going to be the slug of river water coming back out of the trib. Further into the trib, it'll be more trib water.
Yes. Yes, that is what we are not sampling those by boat. We are sampling them by hand and a little bit further up. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you, Shannon.
I know everybody inside their own plan.
Is it Dan or you or Rebecca gonna talk about the alcohol?
Wrong.
Yeah.
Is there an update for the algae? Oh, you
Could I
Yeah, sure.
talk for a second too about, so it's great that Riverkeeper is doing monitoring for the Hudson 7, and There's a symposium coming up in October, like the Carey Institute Hudson River Environmental Society Symposium. And Danielle and I want to submit an abstract, which is due on Friday, just like a poster abstract with the title being like source water protection and water quality monitoring in Hudson River Estuary. And the purpose of the poster is to highlight the fact that like the grant is getting funded because of the action agenda, which highlights 2 measures of success, including source water protection and monitoring. So we're gonna just like show our new action agenda, which is the 2026 to 2030 action agenda, highlight those 2 like initiatives that we're trying to encourage more people applying for. And we want to talk about the Hudson 7, this like monitoring as an example of like the type of project that we're trying to see, because it's a good example. And so, yeah, we're going to put the poster together and hopefully we're going to submit the abstract and we'll see if we get our poster accepted.
Yeah, and could you share something that we could then circulate as well?
Yeah, like a draft poster if we do get accepted.
Well, I don't know if we don't need to accept what you're doing.
Oh, yeah.
So we can
educate us,
distribute it and at a broader audience as well.
Yeah, because I think what's cool about this project specifically is that it's helping operators be able to make more informed decisions about how to move forward with implementing the DWSP2 plan. Like all of the questions that are being answered with the monitoring project is a great example, as opposed to like, we just want to do monitoring for monitoring's sake. Like Riverkeeper has worked really hard in like tailoring this and having it really like answer specific questions, which is, a feat to be able to take the like kind of elusive monitoring goal and turning it into something that is really an actionable goal. So we're really excited about the project, and it's a little bit preliminary to be like highlighting it as a success story. But I mean, the development of the question and the development of the QAP and getting to the monitoring point is like a huge achievement to begin with.
That's
so
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, then I'll just
yeah. Bye.
So I wanted just to chime in that Anna did send us a link to the poster abstract that's due, it says this week, and it was sent to Dan and Shannon and Julian, so Riverkeeper and Daniela. And so asking for input. So I figure Dan and Shannon are both technical advisors. They can handle reviewing it and giving any feedback. But if there are others that should also review it, maybe you could discuss it. I'm happy to send it to those folks as well. But if Shannon and Dan feel like they have it, then we're good to go.
Yeah, I mean, we're happy to obviously look at it, and it's great to see it on the poster. I don't know, I mean, if there is that operator use of data connection, maybe you want to look at it, Dottie. That seems like it might, I mean, just a couple sentences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's on my list for tomorrow.
Thank you.
So just Dottie, just to be clear, give everybody, Nick's here, Jonathan's here. Do you want to see it as well? Would you too, along with Dottie?
Sure.
I mean, I'm not trying to give you more work. I just want to make sure you have a chance to say.
Sure,
Jonathan?
Jonathan, here to send it along. I couldn't find the mic.
Okay, great. So you have those emails, Anna, or I'll just forward them to you. Maybe we should just send it to all the water operators. See what you get back in time. It's a great idea, Dan. Yeah.
Cool.
It was really Daniela's idea. Yeah.
Great idea, Dan.
Great idea, Dan.
Great idea, everybody. All right.
We're gonna
So
go back.
simple algal blooms in the Hudson River. So I saw some emails moving about regarding, results of microcystin monitoring, and just wanted to give water treatment plant operators a chance to share if they felt like it, or not. We can move forward.
We continue to have non-detects for microcystin, which is great. Nice.
Early on, wasn't there something kind of developing, but then with all the rain, it just dissipated, right?
Yeah, I mean, we were seeing, isolated shoreline observations, mostly downriver. There was one in Norrie Point, though, mostly more Sleepy Hollow and Yonkers. And then, I think that big rain, my hypothesis is just it's a big volume of water.
Right.
And drought was a precondition, so we don't have that precondition right now.
Yeah, same applies for my plant.
Yeah.
So Ulster County DOH and I have been talking like throughout the springtime, just kind of gearing up for the potential for this to happen again. So June, they implemented a sample plan just for raw, not finished, only raw, and it was weekly. And yeah, so since June, all non-detects less than 0.3 UGL. And I just got put on a bi-weekly sample plan as of last week.
And Jonathan, weren't you participating as well?
The Hyde Park Water Plan is also participating, and all the samples I've looked at so far have been non-detect.
Good. I love that.
Just real quick, I feel like it's would we really want to go to bi-weekly? Like if we were to see a HAB, it would be like now. It seems a little bit premature to move to bi-weekly.
So we were always bi-weekly.
Yeah.
That was what was set up with the Department of Health. I'm wondering if because you were the first plant to identify it, if that's why you were on a weekly sample.
You were the only one on the weekly?
Oh, I don't know. I don't follow anyone else's
Okay.
track with.
So, because I think DCWWA is also a Hyde Park plant is on bi-weekly, and so is Rhinebeck, because when we go to drop our samples off, the FedEx people are like, oh, that that was just in or whatever, so. It does seem strange. The idea was that if something is detected or if things are noticed, we're supposed to notify them, and then we would go to more regular.
So there's no alternate. It's not like you're doing it this week and you do every other week and Rhinebeck is doing it next week and every other week.
That would be a good.
That would be it.
Maybe let's see.
I mean, this was one of my concerns with the emergency plans being kind of put together plant by plant rather than coordinated, is that you wouldn't see these opportunities to coordinate, and that seems like a great example. Staggered sampling would give you better data with the same cost, so. Maybe maybe we can engage DOH somehow about.
Next, I'll see if I can actually contact you. I'll send an email to them.
Yeah, because it seems like we could be more frequent. Now is the time. Like if we're gonna see a bloom, it's like over the next month.
Yeah.
You know.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah, even if it's within Dutchess County, if it's Hyde Park now, Dixie then, and Rhinebeck,
Yeah.
you can get a pretty good stagger.
I will, I'll reach out to the contact I have to see.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's great. And then no extra cost to them.
John, any update on the contingency plan for spills?
Yeah, so that's the Coast Guard and CSX. So I just came back from a quarterly area committee meeting with the Coast Guard down in Jersey. To remind everybody, we go to these meetings to maintain the relationships. The goal with the Coast Guard is over time to, if possible, improve spill response and prevention in the Hudson, especially in the reach of the Hudson 7. So, there's nothing monumental that happens at any one step. This is a long road. But today, got to meet the new captain of the port, Doreen McCarthy. She's very interested in working with us, gave me, insider contact information to reach her if we have any urgent questions. As some of you will recall, there were these subcommittees that were established last year, were named last year, but they haven't really done much. I think most of that was because the Coast Guard any extra capacity they had was taken up by preparing for and getting through the 250th events in New York Harbor, which must have been a nightmare. But there were no catastrophes. So the committee that I've joined on behalf of Hudson 7 is the Response and Recovery Committee, and it hasn't actually even had a full meeting. The driver of it is apparently starting on September 1st, and I think we'll see some activity after that. But related to that is another committee, and some of these have overlap, and it's going to be difficult to figure out where to be at which year. But the Geographic Response Strategy Committee, GRS Committee, is charged with ground truthing the spill response scenarios in the area contingency plan, which is this massive blueprint for response in the Hudson. And this year we didn't participate in that because they were working on the East River, the Arthur Kill, the Kill Van Kull, and that's important, but it's not Hudson 7 important as much. Next year, they are going to start working on the geographic response strategies for the area north of the Tappan Zee Bridge. And so I voiced interest in participating in that. And there's a possibility that Riverkeeper or others could help them with boat support when that starts to happen. It's important to remember, though, that in the geographic response plans, you'll have a diagram of a 5 mile stretch of river, and they'll show all the various deflection booms and capture points and all the physical structure that they envision using to capture and redirect spilled product for collection. And that's very well thought out, I believe, because we worked on that actually in the last area contingency plan. And the diagrams and the thinking has gotten much better. The Coast Guard came with me on the Riverkeeper boat over 3 days down the whole upper estuary. The problem with it, and the place where we have to apply influence, is the speed of the response. That'll be the main thrust of, I believe, our comments with the Coast Guard and any changes we can get them to implement. And it'll also be the main question with CSX when we come to that, and more on that later. So the committee work summary is been a year in getting started, and we hope it's actually going to start being a meaningful discussion starting in September. Next, I told them that we have invited CSX to join the area committee. CSX has not sent a rep the last 2 meetings to the Coast Guard meetings. They are very interested in having CSX join this community. So we will continue to press that with CSX. Again, we have more on that coming in this meeting. The other thing that I discussed with them is we have had in the past, we've had contacts at the Coast Guard who we report when we see a tug barge unit anchored, let's say, in front of the Esopus water intake, Nick's shop. We've had a good contact to report that to. Because they do this constant rotation at the Coast Guard, those contacts are gone. I did meet the head of that whole division, the vessel traffic division, and they are going to give me some names tomorrow. They are in a bit of a bind because they are now being asked to implement the rule that went through Congress, which prohibits anchoring of all vessels except in the designated anchorages. And there are only about 4 between the GW Bridge and Albany. And all, he stressed to me, under the law, all includes striped bass fishermen. So they are in a real dilemma on what to do with this law, which is problematic. So we'll see what comes of it. And then the last bit on the Coast Guard is that there are a number of other trainings and regional response team meetings coming in the fall, and I'll do my best to attend them on behalf of Hudson 7. So that's the Coast Guard report, I believe. If I missed something, please ask questions.
I'm going to move on. We have a lot to cover. I'm going to summarize, and John can add into it. This is on the DEC MGP Central Hudson MG plant cleanup. Just to go back, we've been working on this for a year and a half, 2 years now. We've been trying to force the DEC to come forward. We proposed through John and myself, and Rebecca has been participating as well, a containment boom, similar to what was done before. We used that same diagram, gave that to DEC, gave that to Central Hudson, said, especially during August, September, when the river is low, water temperature is up, salt line comes up, is when we see the most fluent coming up to the top of the river. We had some sightings early on. We were trying to address it, and we wanted a sense of urgency. To get a sense of urgency from any one of those two parties, Central Hudson or DEC, I don't think they understand the word, to be honest with you. John and I have gone back and forth a lot. So we presented the containment boom. They came back with what they called a pilot program to do deflection booms. They're only going to do one deflection boom. Deflection boom means like this, where everything flows in, it goes to a collection point, and then they collect it out. But there wasn't one for the tide going the other way. So he said, you got to do this both ways to be able to make it work. We sent back a response to him saying, we don't really support the deflection boom idea, but if you were going to do it, here's some suggestions to help make it work. They basically sent us an email back this last week and said, listen, we're tabling this and we're working with waiting on Central Hudson to respond and do it. So we're getting close to DEFCON 5 here. Is 5 the higher number or the 1? I don't know.
Sounds bad.
Whatever's bad. We're getting close to the point where with them, we have to do something to get urgency into this. And so John and I are talking about, is it going to our elected officials at federal and state level, going to the press, doing something else more to light the fire underneath them, because we're not getting the response from them that we truly need. So John, anything you would like to add?
Yeah, if anyone wants to know more about the difference between deflection booms and a containment, it's in our opinion, it's lame and it doesn't really save a lot of labor, because the deflection booms would have to be both north and south of the area. So a containment boom would just add one more side, a north-south side out in the river. One of the problems that I have with the responses we've had from both Sarah Saucier in the Albany office and Jerry Pratt in Region 3 is they've said again and again in their letters that they do not prescribe specific solutions to, in this case, Central Hudson. But in the letter to Central Hudson from DEC in June, they suggest deflection booms. In Jerry's letter, they suggest deflection booms. And in Sarah's letter to us on August 10th, she mentions it twice. So it doesn't make sense to say we do not recommend solutions to Central Hudson and then constantly make that recommendation to Central Hudson. The other thing that that disturbs me is that there are no deadlines whatsoever, apparently, to Central Hudson. And so one of the points that we're making in our response is that we want to see deadlines, and we want them to demonstrate urgency on this issue. And as Gary said, after this final response, it's probably time to contact regional elected officials and potentially press and say we need an aggressive approach, and it's our sense that there's kind of foot dragging happening here. I'm happy to help with any definitions or any questions.
Awesome. All right, so John and I will continue to fight this battle. All right. Next, CSX rail safety.
Yep. I just want to say great work, John and Gary, on all of these things. It's really exceptional. Before I begin, I just would be remiss not to introduce Paula Cuba, who is a young intern the Riverkeeper is bringing on, and Paula will be working with us to some degree, which is really welcome to have young people involved in this work. So thanks to Riverkeeper for creating this opportunity. For us and Paula, we look forward to having you, and we're so glad that you came on tonight to listen in.
Yes, thank you, Paula.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Looking forward to working with you, Paula.
Me too.
Mhm. Okay, CSX. So we met with CSX, Maurice O'Connell, back in March. And we followed up with a letter of questions, follow-up questions that we had, and we've been trying to schedule a new meeting, and we've succeeded. Dan and myself and Gary and Devin and John will be meeting with Maurice O'Connell and one of his staff from Hazmat, for them to answer the questions that we posed in the letter, which is public. It's in our motions document folder that's on the About section of our website on August the 18th at 1 p.m. So we'll have a lot to report back to the council in September.
Thank you. Rebecca, do you want to, or John, the leachate update? Could you give a short, brief update on the leachate? And so I want to get to some other business as well.
Well, I'll just say that the leachate, the on-site treatment and disposal of leachate at landfills rulemaking that we've been waiting for here, and also I've been waiting for with my other hat. The rule was published on July the 1st. Our report was released on August the 6th. We have a great coalition of partners that includes Riverkeeper and a whole host of groups and Hudson 7. Gary has been great in participating in webinars. We did a press conference speaking to concerns to Hudson 7 that are in line with the letter that you all submitted to the state. So you've all taken action. We've taken action on this, asking the state to open the rule. They've opened the rule, and now we want a good regulation. There is an action to take on New York River Watch's website. It is also on Riverkeeper's website. So our coalition of partners are getting involved in finding their road, and it's great. So there's a lot of coverage, and we'll keep everyone updated as we move along.
Thank you for all your hard work on this.
My pleasure.
Okay. IBM.
So I thought maybe Dan and John might want to just give a quick overview on the foils that Dan was successful at receiving from IBM, and we just need to review those and circle back around. But Dan and John, you might want to say more?
Yeah, so we're interested in the permit, which is the water, what standards the discharge is held to before it goes to the river. That permit's not up for public comment yet, but a separate one came up for public comment related to the cleanup of a contaminated site on the campus of IBM. So we got documents related to that because the contaminants that they pump out of the groundwater are treated and ultimately join the same discharge. So we want to just understand what's going on there as much as we can, but it's very interim, update. We haven't looked much at them at all, and we'll report back when we learn more.
Do they have a speedies permit filed right now?
Yeah, and it's going to be up for public comment soon. So because we know the DEC is actively working on the updated permit.
So yeah, they're updating theirs like they've updated around the community as well.
They're supposed to do it every 5 years
Right.
under the Clean Water Act. In reality, it happens much less frequently.
And
So it's a good opportunity to look at this one when it's actually going to be looked
I
at.
can honestly tell you from a wastewater point of view, these speedies updates are the requirements are going up exponentially
Yeah.
on things like mercury and, et cetera. So we are one of the municipalities. We had to make a lot of adjustments to be able to meet the new speedies plan. I hope they do the same.
I think John has something to add. No? All set.
Well, I could say the other, to complement what Dan said, in bringing this up initially, there's commenting officially on the permits and the applications for permit renewal and all that. That's all great. I was suggesting a slightly different approach in addition, which is because Poughkeepsie is the home of the council and a major member of the council, that the idea would be for Hudson 7 to reach out to IBM, ask them to have a rep from their one of their technical people come to Hudson 7, and we just sit down there and bring us a list of the contaminants in your discharge water. You don't make us read 700 pages. Just bring us a list of what's in your water. And if it were for me, I would just ask them, can IBM exist without the Hudson? Can IBM make money without discharging contaminants into the Hudson? And what we would really like you to do, aside from what the DEC requires of you and the laws require and the ever tightening speedies permits require, we would like you to figure out a way to live in Poughkeepsie and not discharge contaminants into the Hudson. And just start that conversation. It's a different approach. It's similar to our outreach to the communities in the Hudson 7 Reach that are discharging leachate through their sewer plants. Say to them, we're neighbors here, and let's talk about this differently than we have in the past, which has always been within a regulatory framework. Let's just talk about it like we were talking across the picket fence in our neighborhood, and just try it out, see what happens.
Yeah, and I think thanks for saying that, John. That's what the council voted to do, to send a letter to invite a conversation like that. And we haven't, I haven't drafted that letter because in the meantime, I was looking at these permit things that have come up. So we'll revisit that. I don't have an update on it because I haven't worked on it yet.
We'll when time allows, Dan and I will get to that phase of it.
All right. I want to keep moving here, okay? Did Paul send anything for an update for the salt front?
The only thing I know is that he outreached to Heather Gearloff just to get an update on the modeling project. So, and I don't believe he heard back yet. So that's all for today.
Okay. I just want to cover the DWSP2 is on everybody, I think hopefully on everybody's mind. And, we're expecting something soon, right? You, Dan, Rebecca, anybody want to comment?
Well,
on
Michael wrote to us tonight to say that Michael Forging from the DOH said that there's no new updates for this meeting this evening, but they will reach out as soon as they hear back from reviewers. So we're waiting, I think, on the fourth round of comments.
Right.
One other update for the council is that, as you know, Devin brought us into the Duchess local emergency planning committee meeting a few months ago, and there was a request for the Hudson 7 to present on the DWSP2 and to include Ulster. But because the report isn't adopted yet, we thought we might, as a group, as a committee, the DWSP2 committee, review the presentation that we had from last May. And so we've set up a call on August the 24th at 2. Hopefully Dan is available. That's what I'm waiting for before I confirm it, because I think it's important Dan is there to pull up everybody has seen, I pulled up the presentation, but to walk through and talk through it to see if we can just use what we have with maybe limited tweaks to be able to move forward and meet with Ulster and Dutchess counties emergency planning committees or councils, whatever the equivalent is in Ulster, to start the educational process on what we're working on with our plan. So that's moving forward.
Oh, that's good.
Okay. All right. How about our water treatment plant committee?
Dottie, I have the timeline unless you want to give it.
Give it.
Okay.
Thank you.
So the Water Treatment Plant Committee has succeeded in putting together a great program for water operators of Hudson 7, or water treatment plants. It's been a collaborative effort. And we're going to be doing a session on the salt front history in the Hudson with Paul Melmrose, disinfection byproducts, presentation by Shannon Roback, and treatment approaches to reduce DBPs by Paul. He'll come back in the morning. So there are hour sessions followed by a case study and operator roundtable that Dottie will host. Everything is complete, and now we're on a timeline to get the materials ready to send to the state so that we can get credits for the water treatment plant operators. We're hoping for 4. And at which point we'll send out invitations like we did last year. There'll be 25 slots, 5 per water treatment facility, and a wait list if necessary. And Dottie and I are meeting tomorrow to move that next phase forward so I can support her in doing whatever work needs to be done so she isn't bogged down by paperwork. Although Dottie did create the entire pathway for this to make it really easy when she organized our training last year. Um, so it's the title, and then I'll pause, is called Water Quality, Disinfection Byproducts, and Operational Case Studies. So great work, everyone, to focus on water quality this year.
Thank you. I don't have anything. Strategic updates to you, Devin?
Rebecca's helping me. We're going to try to get a new meeting scheduled later this month.
Okay. I'm gonna skip over to Lower Sopus Creek. We talked about Wappinger, Falk Hill. Richard.
Yes.
Well, actually, we have one thing. Ella's here from Ulster County really quickly, who might want to give a quick overview on the Lower Sopus or just say hello.
I did want to say hello to the group, and I also wanted to just mention two things for the Hudson Sevens awareness. One is that the Ulster County Water Quality Coordination Council is having a meeting September 17th, where we're starting working groups, one of which is drinking water. We're doing 4 working groups. One is floodplain administrators, one is watersheds that I'm leading, one is stormwater managers, and one is public water supply. So I just want to bring that to your attention as a drinking water supply group. All the operators are going to be invited to that. If you have not been, give me a shout so I can make sure that you're included, Ulster County folks. And then I also just wanted to put in a plug that the Lower Esopus Creek Advisory Council is going to be participating in the Hudson River Ramble this year. So if anyone wants to have a fun Saturday in September, I think that's September 19th, you can come visit us at Marbletown, where we're going to be hanging out with Hudsonia. No, Marbletown, yes, Hudsonia, sorry. And you can come visit us in Saugerties, where we're going to be hanging out with Riverkeeper. So shout out to Julian, who will be there with us.
Oh, thank you, Ella. I didn't realize that was all going on.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also just a general introduction that if anyone has watersheds issues, concerns, questions, and wants support from Ulster County, give me a shout.
Thanks, Ella.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, how fast I can do it. So we've started, we're in a 16-month process of a CFA LWRP grant the city was awarded in 2023 from DOS. And we've awarded it to Mass Design and Scenic Hudson, who started in there on month 4 of the work on our Falk Hill Blue Ways guideline. So a document that we can look at the walls of the Falk Hill, the flooding, the water quality, and then also a Blue Ways path, making the Falk Hill walkable, as well as 5 pocket parks along that area. So that was a $765,000 planning grant. And we're in, as it shows, month 4. We've used the Northside Collaborative, which has been meeting as subcommittees starting these 4 months with walks starting from Warriors to all along the Falk Hill. We just had one a couple weeks ago at the Family Partnership parking lot, where we've walked and used iNaturalist to look at all of the environment surrounding it. And we've also had the Falk Hill Watershed Coalition also meeting to talk for the science, and then the public space realm have been those 2 mirrored bodies that we are using for the 16-month period, and as well as outreach in different community events. So we're just kind of introducing this as the process moving forward. We presented it to our Waterfront Advisory Committee, and it will then become a document that then we can start going out for implementation moving forward. So this is an invitation. Anytime
Thank you.
someone wants to join a Fall Kill Watershed Coalition or Northside Collaborative meeting, the collaborative meeting, you get a free lunch. I don't think they're doing that for the Watershed Coalition, but they should.
Yeah, I definitely like to attend the watershed. But the one with the free lunch probably is smarter.
Yeah, that's a choice. But they've been putting people to work actually walking the Fall Kill the last few
Well, that's not
coalitions. It's pretty
that's
nice.
too much. For
We've had a
Nice.
great for the Warriors Park we met at the Children's Museum. We got about 60 people from the public to walk and give their input. So we give them clipboards and give their input.
That's how you pronounce it.
Yeah.
I always said worse.
Warriors.
Yeah, that's good to know.
Richard, just let me know when you want me to switch slides, because I don't want to get ahead of you.
That was just what Mass Design gave me. That's us at the Family Partnership, walking along the area there and looking at different possibilities in that space. Yeah, I think that's about it.
Good. Cool. Very
Oh.
nice.
Yeah, those have been the different public outreach. Yeah, and our teams have gotten in there the past few months to bring their waiters. I think they picked one of the hottest days to do that, so it's
Perfect.
less.
Awesome.
Richard, could you follow up with any materials for signing up or what have you, so we can?
I'll send you the dates for all of those.
Great, thank you. Great work.
All right, and so lastly, I think everybody's hearing in the news what's happening with the water plants around the country, right? If you haven't, you must be underwater, right? And hopefully most of our water plants are protected and have cybersecurity contracts or whatever in place if something were to occur or are not connected, because the PLCs connected to the control devices are all been hackable. And what the information I get is they just broadcast a wide net, and whoever they hit, they'll hit, right? So it's not that they're going to target you, Dottie, or you, Nick. They're just going to, so whatever they do, they cast it out. And if they get a hit, then they're going to die, then they're going to dive in. So I've made it a point to keep my community updated and said, we are not connected remotely. We don't connect remotely. If we do, it's a hard connect, right, for a specific purpose, and then a disconnect. So we have no other way into our plants to be able to do it. But I just want to remind everybody that the threat is real, I believe, and it's always there, and to do everything you can to protect. Rebecca, do you want to say anything else?
I'm just wondering if there's anything, the AWWA is looking like they're doing work on this. Is there anything, and maybe it's just an idea to think about, that we should be doing as a council to help support our treatment plants? Maybe it's an agenda item to discuss on the water treatment plant committee agenda, but it might be good to think about doing something.
This
Or
was a
not.
big, right when the Iran conflict started, March, was it March? So right after the conflict began, maybe the same week, there was email traffic regarding cybersecurity and cyber threats, potentially coming due to the new conflict. So yeah, I'm sure it's been on Dottie's radar. It's been on all of our radars, no doubt about it. And like Brian, in your plant, we have a direct air gap between our SCADA computer and the outside network. So everything's internal. But there's still
Sorry.
still vulnerabilities to every system. Yeah.
Wasn't there like an rule, like were there cybersecurity regs?
They're now more rules that have been put in place. So there really weren't many to begin with. They were just kind of recommendations. Now the EPA has provided more regulatory things that the health departments need to hold water plants accountable towards. New York State has implemented that water treatment operators with every renewal needs to include cybersecurity training in their renewal credits. So they are working towards that to make sure that people are more informed and operators are aware of what's happening. I think from each facility is very different, and I think from the Hudson Seven's perspective, I don't know if there's something that we can do together. Everybody's systems and how they operate are so unique. I think just keeping it in the forefront and being supportive if something was to happen and keeping that communication, available is the better thing.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Maybe there's a way, maybe there's a letter that we could send to our state and federal reps of the concern from the council that we just, state. I don't know if there are gaps that there might be a request that we want to make to
I think
support you.
if we do that, Rebecca, we need to be very specific about.
Right.
Dottie mentioned we're all kind of different, but we're all in a way the same. We all PLCs that operate our SCADAs. And so for the most part, I don't want to create an alarm where there's not an alarm. That's my only fear, okay? Because the public can say it goes to, you send it to your state rep, and then you're gonna say, well, if you're concerned, why are you concerned and what are you doing about it? And we need to make sure if we start doing that, we need to have a plan.
Yeah, just to be clear, I'm not suggesting anything at language in a letter, but just throwing out an idea that maybe there's an opportunity for the council to do that down the road. So I totally hear you, Gary. Don't want to cause
Sure.
any alarm.
It's available.
Yeah. There's state grants, even through the EPA, so
Yeah.
the Poughkeepsie Water Plant, we've signed up for an EPA evaluation of our cybersecurity system, so that should be occurring on Friday, so
Great.
nice.
Oh, that's good to know. I was gonna ask about that because I think how we answer our vulnerability assessment, specifically the cybersecurity portion of it, especially the state's new template, will dictate what kind of shortfalls, we have. And then based on those shortfalls and identifying the shortfalls, how much cash it's gonna cost to obviously to fix it. So I was wondering how that worked, if at the very end, there was some type of grant or.
But as far as at the end of this evaluation, I don't believe so, but my hope is that we'll have the official third party kind of report evaluation that we'll be able to use when applying for grants.
Right. You can also get a grant for the evaluation.
Yes.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any value or opportunity for other operators to join you on Friday and learn from the evaluation, or is it really site specific?
I think it's very site specific, and as much as I trust everybody, there's also
it's in the name. Gotcha.
So
I think the information should be pretty confidential, so just be careful about what we actually talk about in the open forum.
I agree. That's the comment I was trying to make before. All right, very good. It's now almost 6:20. I apologize for keeping you late on a wonderful evening. I'm going to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you all. See you
Thank you,
soon.
everyone. Dottie, I've just made you host, Dottie, so I'm going to sign out and you're going to have the recording.
Daddy.